The Absolute and Manifestation, Part 2. But with what Advaita says is that God is more than knowable. This is a great fact to learn. You must not go home with the idea that God is unknowable in the sense in which agnostics put it. For instance, here is a chair, it is known to us. But what is beyond ether and whether people exist there or not is possibly unknown. But God is neither known nor unknowable in this sense. He is something still higher than known. That is what is meant by God being unknown and unknowable. The expression is not used in the sense in which it may be said that some questions are unknown and unknowable. God is more than known. This chair is known, but God is intensely more than that, because in and through Him we have to know this chair itself. He is the witness, the eternal witness of all knowledge. Whatever we know, we have to know in and through Him. He is the essence of our own self. He is the essence of this ego, that I and we cannot know anything except in and through that I. Therefore, you have to know everything in and through the Brahman. To know the chair, you have to know in it and through God. Thus, God is infinitely nearer to us than the chair, but yet He is infinitely higher. Neither known nor unknown, but something infinitely higher than either. He is yourself. Who would live a second? Who would breathe a second in this universe if that blessed one were not filling it? Because in and through Him we breathe, in and through Him we exist. Not that He is standing somewhere and making my blood circulate. What is meant is that He is the essence of all this, the soul of my soul. You cannot by any possibility say you know Him. It would be degrading Him. You cannot get out of yourself, so you cannot know Him. Knowledge is objectification. For instance, in memory, you are objectifying many things, projecting them out of yourself. All memory, all the things which I have seen and which I know are in my mind. The pictures, the impressions of all these things are in my mind, and when I would try to think of them, to know them, the first act of knowledge would be to project them outside. This cannot be done with God because He is the essence of our souls. We cannot project Him outside ourselves. He is one of the profoundest passages in Vedanta. He that is the essence of your soul, He is the truth, He is the self. Thou art that, O Shweta Ketu. This is what is meant by Thou art God. You cannot describe Him by any other language. All attempts of language, calling Him Father or Brother or our dearest friend, are attempts to objectify God, which cannot be done. He is the eternal subject of everything. I am the subject of this chair. I see the chair, so God is the eternal subject of my soul. How can you objectify Him, the essence of your souls, the reality of everything? Thus, I would repeat to you once more, God is neither knowable nor unknowable, but something infinitely higher than either. He is one with us, and that which is one with us is neither knowable nor unknowable as our own self. You cannot know your own self, you cannot move it out and make it an object to look at, because you are that and cannot separate yourself from it. Neither is it unknowable, for what is better known than yourself? It is really the center of our knowledge. In exactly the same sense, God is neither unknowable nor known, but infinitely higher than both, for He is our real self. First, we see then that the question, what caused the absolute, is the contradiction in terms. And secondly, we find that the idea of God in the Advaita is this oneness. And therefore, we cannot objectify Him, for we are always living and moving in Him, whether we know it or not. Whatever we do is always through Him. Now, the question is, what is time, space, and causation? Advaita means non duality. There are no two but one. Yet we see that here is a proposition that the Absolute is manifesting itself as many, through the wheel of time, space, and causation. Therefore, it seems that here are two, the Absolute and Maya, the sum total of time, space, and causation. It seems apparently very convincing that there are two. To this, the Advaitist replies that it cannot be called two. To have two, we must have two absolute independent existences which cannot be caused. In the first place, time, space, and causation cannot be said to be independent existences. Time is entirely a dependent existence, it changes with every change of our mind. Sometimes in dreams, one imagines that one has lived several years. At other times, several months were passed as 1 second. So, time is entirely dependent on our state of mind. Secondly, the idea of time vanishes altogether sometimes. So, with space. We cannot know what space is, yet it is there, indefinable, and cannot exist separate from anything else. So, with causation. The one peculiar attribute we find in time, space, and causation is that they cannot exist separate from other things. Try to think of space without color or limits or any connection with the things around. Just abstract space. You cannot. You have to think of it as a space between two limits or between three objects. It has to be connected with some objects to have any existence. So, with time. You cannot have an idea of abstract time, but you have to take two events, one preceding and the other succeeding, and join the two events by an idea of succession. Time depends on two events, just as space has to be related to outside objects. And the idea of causation is inseparable from time and space. This is the peculiar thing about them, that they have no independent existence. They have not even the existence which the chair or the wall has. They are as shadows around everything which you cannot catch. They have no real existence, yet they are not non existent. Seeing that through them all things are manifesting as this universe. Thus, we see first that the combination of time, space, and causation has neither existence nor non existence. Secondly, it sometimes vanishes. To give an illustration, that there is a wave on the ocean. The wave is the same as the ocean, certainly, and yet we know it is a wave, and as such different from the ocean. What makes this difference? The name and the form, that is, the idea in the mind and the form. Now, can we think of a waveform as something separate from the ocean? Certainly not. It is always associated with the ocean idea. If a wave subsides and form vanishes in a moment, and yet the form was not a delusion. So, as long as the wave existed, the form was there, and you are bound to see the form. This is Maya.